Between my grandmother, my grandfather, who was the baker, and my mom, who was a domestic for most of her early part of her life, between those three is where I got my cooking. Now, God gave me the imagination, and they can attest to that. So yeah, that's where it comes from. It comes from family. Family dinners, family time. It comes from struggle as well, because we were kind of poor when we were growing up. So I watched my mother work magic with a little to feed a lot of people. And that's my gift.
So my love of fishing came from my grandparents. Both my grandparents lived in Mississippi, near Laurel. Both were farmers. Both had multiple ponds on their land. And as a young child, that's what I loved to do, was go stay with them and fish. And they both would fish with me. And it's just kind of morphed into what it is today. At this point in my life, and I think Coosa River, I think about my kids, I think about my parents, I think about the Saturdays down here on the 4th and Labor Day swimming, and so it changes over the years. The older I get, the more I'd rather just come out here with the kids and the family and do this, catch fish or not.
Little slice of heaven, sir.
Yep.
Well, my fishing experience came because of my granddad as well. But mine was on a river in the city I grew up in, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And once he retired, he spent most of his days fishing. And we ate everything he caught. My granddad loved it. It was his quiet time. And I was fortunate enough to be the oldest grandson, so I got to do things with him that not everybody else did.
I was talking to my dad. My grandparents had deep freezers full of catfish, peas, it was just the way you did it, right? I fished for fun. I think they fished for necessity. Who taught you how to fry fish?
My grandfather did.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it was his thing.
Common theme.
Yeah, well, they loved us enough to share the info.
Right.
Once we went fishing during the course of the day and spent all day on the bank, we'd come home, we'd clean our catch, and prepare for dinner. Our river is beautiful on the surface. But what most of us do not know is that there are things going on beneath the waves that are critically important to the health of the river.
Another one of the big issues on the Coosa River is PCBs. Everybody knows what PCBs are and that they're harmful, but not everybody understands that PCBs were first commercially manufactured in the Coosa River Basin. As citizens of Alabama, we have a right to know, and that information needs to be readily available, that the PCBs are present and they need to be accounted for in how we use this river.
Our role at Coosa River Keeper is important because it fills in the gaps where our government does not. We do what they should do, and we do it because we care, not just about the river, but about the people who live on it and people who consume the product from it. So that's why we work as hard as we do to provide all of the fish consumption advisories. And this is why we do what we do.
Let's not waste time, or take this slow. We've got miles behind us, but miles to go. So let's just break this down to the simplest truth. Yeah, you and I as one will always be better than two.